Hi there, a very good evening. How are you guys doing? भटक गए हो? Are all the classes going to be YouTube? नहीं नहीं यार, ये बीच बीच में there are some classes at the beginning that we do take on YouTube, but this is not going to be the default for all the classes. So we have a syllabus. Acha, I straight away jumped into a question, but then I forgot that, hey, welcome to our channel. In case you are new to this channel, don't forget to subscribe. And if you happen to have any questions whatsoever, you can drop them in the chat down below, and I would try to go through as many concerns, as many doubts as I can, and I'll ensure that you get the answers to your questions, your concerns. So coming back to that, you're not able to hear anything. Nani, I think the audio is absolutely okay when it comes to the stream. So somebody asked, are all the classes going to be on this platform? No. So we have a fixed syllabus. There are times when we want to take you through some extra classes, focus on a specific aspect in greater detail. So when it comes to those things, those aspects, we go ahead and conduct those either as an extra class on our Facebook platform or here on YouTube, where everybody can actually benefit. So go ahead and ask. So questions. Good evening, everyone. What else? Is it a 2-hour session? Not really यार, वो building a reading habit. I mean, अब ना वो ज़बरदस्ती खींचेंगे तो 2 घंटे तक बात कर सकते हैं, बट वो खींचना चाहिए नहीं, है ना? So I would like to ensure that it gives you maximum benefit for the time that you spend with me here. Anonymous, what should be the daily routine for a CAT aspirant? Okay, I'll address that. शुभम सर, जनवरी में डेली क्लासेस शुरू करते बोले थे पर अभी तक नहीं किए. हाँ, 7th से ही प्लान था यार, तो अब आपको काफ़ी फ्रीक्वेंट क्लासेस मिलेंगी. सो व्हेन आई से डेली क्लासेस, दे आर बेसिकली अ कॉम्बिनेशन ऑफ कॉन्सेप्ट क्लासेस, एप्लीकेशन क्लासेस, here these additional sessions on YouTube. So we definitely go ahead and work on these things for sure. Okay, so daily plan की भी बात करते हैं, but let's begin with this particular part, building a reading habit. So let me ask you a very straightforward, very plain question, and that question is, what is a habit? How do you go ahead and define it if I were to ask you? देखें आप लोगों के पास क्या strategies हैं, what is it that you think of when you try to build a habit? So what is a habit? What's your definition? I saw, sir, by when will we be getting the books? यार ये तो admin team ज़्यादा बता पाएगी, but last I heard, in fact I was with one of them a couple of days ago and I overheard it. Okay, they were talking to each other and I overheard. They were saying that 7th to 9th January is the window in which the textbooks are going to be dispatched. तो आज 7th है, तो आज पहला दिन है जिसमें बुक्स डिस्पैच हुई होंगी. तो आई थिंक विद इन द नेक्स्ट 2-3 days द बुक्स आर लाइकली टू बी डिस्पैच्ड. ओके, व्हाट एल्स? अरे यार बहुत सारे क्वेश्चन अरे ओके, एक एक करके चलो क्वेश्चंस लेते हैं. सर, रेन एंड मार्टिन ग्रामर बुक इज गुड फॉर ग्रामर? एब्सोल्युटली यस, जब तक आप मुझे बता रहे हैं व्हाट अ हैबिट इज. So let me just go ahead and address some of these questions. So Ren and Martin, absolutely yes. It's as good as any other book. What matters is regularity. So 2 things. Make sure that you read at least 7 pages of the book every day. And if you are working at this particular pace, please make sure that you read the book twice. So once you do that, after that you should move over to some kind of workbook. So that'll be the next step. Then facing a lot of problems due to time management. Actually I'm in 2nd year. Okay, so time management के बारे में भी थोड़ी बात कर लेंगे I think towards the end. Sir, did I have paid for YouTube lives? जाहिद, YouTube पे तो हमारे सारे सेशंस खैर ओपन टू एवरीवन होते हैं, बट ऑल द क्लासेस दैट वी टेक ऑन आवर प्लेटफॉर्म एंड इन आवर फेसबुक ग्रुप, दे आर द वंस दैट आर एक्सक्लूसिव टू आवर स्टूडेंट्स. Rachit says, what about those classes that were conducted earlier? Rachit, the recording of every class remains available in the group. So you'd be able to access it. Shreya, yes, this is a session meant for people who are preparing for CAT 25. Saptak also has a question that I think I can address later. Routine. Yeah, I took a introductory session on VARC for you guys. You can go ahead and refer to that for VARC. Overall भी है तो देख लेंगे. Habit is anything done consistently. Okay. कंसिस्टेंसी में इशू आ रहा है. दोज आर द काइंड ऑफ थिंग्स दैट वीड गो अहेड एंड टॉक अबाउट टुडे. यॉन एसेज में टाइम लग रहा है, क्या करें? तानिया, यू विल स्टार्ट, देयर इज गोइंग टू बी अ डेडिकेटेड व्हाट्सएप ग्रुप फॉर द बैच. यू स्टार्ट गेटिंग ऑल द शेड्यूल देयर in case you're not a part of the group yet, or maybe the batch is supposed to start from today. In case you're not there in that group, just reach out to the team, they'd help you. दिशिता says FB class paid for it. हाँ, सारी Facebook वाले classes जो है वो absolutely are exclusive to the batch. But अब जैसे ये वाला जो session है ना, it is not exactly a part of the core course structure, but this is a question that we get asked a lot often. So we are basically addressing it here. तो चलिए, now talking about this question that is on the screen. What is a habit? So habits are essentially actions that we engage in regularly. So pehla cheez kya? These are things that happen regularly. Now dusra cheez, we so very often, so very frequently, we engage in these actions on an autopilot mode. We do not even consciously think about them. So for instance, I have this habit of drinking 2-3 cups of coffee every day. And there are some specific times when I have it. For example, I wake up, I have my breakfast, and after that, I don't even think, and I go ahead, fix myself a cup of coffee. Right? So, अब वो एक pattern हो गया है. हाँ. So, habits are built through constant repetition of behavior. And we don't even realize, but there are a lot of things that get stacked together and they happen. Now, habits are important because they essentially help us run our daily routine in a very efficient manner. But at the same time, habits can also be harmful if they are not good. So if I were to simplify it, I'd say habits are those unconscious or subconscious patterns of action that are repeated quite often, and that's it. And they have actually taken birth from sheer repetition. We know that we are supposed to have good habits, but then we can at times also have bad habits. So what exactly is a good habit? So now that we know what habits are, we know that we would want to have good habits. So what exactly is a good habit? Acha, some questions are coming about GD interview as well. I'll address all of those things, but wo thoda at least jo core topic, there are a lot of people who are here because of the core topic that we have. So let's go ahead, talk about those, and then we will dig deeper. A couple of you asked about questions related to your EON essays and the challenges. I will go ahead and address it within the class at a particular place. Okay. Rachit, normally when a new batch starts, everything starts from the scratch. Oh, which help in person? I don't know. So basically, see, all of us have some goals, right? So a good habit is something that consumes your resources, right? Your habit takes your time, takes your energy, at times takes your money. Now, if it takes you towards the direction that you wanted to move in, it's a good habit. If it prevents you from moving towards that direction, or if it does not take you towards that direction, then it is likely to be a bad habit. So we want to cultivate good habits. And with that, the question basically becomes, yaar, how do we develop a habit? So how do we develop a habit? So, I mean, I can look at the psychological aspect and then talk about how habits are generated, but instead of looking at it from that perspective, let's take a slightly different view. I talk about some steps that are going to make it more efficient for you. Okay, so the very first step is, and here it is on your screen, and that is work on the why. So whenever you want to develop a habit, you need to start with, yeah, why do I want to develop this habit? What's the point? Why should I even be working on developing this habit? So this why, if your why is big enough, the how becomes significantly easy. So right now in this session, you and me, we are sitting down together and we are thinking of developing a reading habit. So why do we want to build a reading habit? Convince me, yaar, why should I even read? And by the time you share that, I'll just go ahead read a couple of, so when I look here, I'm reading your messages. Right now I'm looking at you. Okay. Aryan, are questions solved in classes and application classes enough, or we should buy books? Aryan, most of the times they are enough. In case you fail to reach the desired level of accuracy through the practice material that is available to you at these two junctures, it is then that you think of extra material. So let me be brutally honest with you. I just think of the objective. And I want to reach that objective in the most efficient manner. So unnecessary questions क्यों करेंगे ना? Okay, so work on the why. So why do we want to build a reading habit? So what's your why? So I think one very obvious why will be that you want to get a terrific cat percentile. You would want to be in excess of 99 point whatever percentile. So 99 percentile and above is what we generally target. So Sparsh, what you've said makes a lot of sense, but then most of us are meeting because we're preparing for the CAT. Yes, there are tons of other benefits when it comes to reading, but you'd probably want to get a percentile like Pradeep's. So Pradeep ended up getting a 99.7 percentile in the very first attempt. So if you are somebody who's taking a first shot, maybe this is what you want. Or maybe it is not your first shot. You're somebody like Anirudh. Now somebody was asking me, yaar, wo kaise college ke saath kaise manage kare? Anirudh was working full time and then he went on to score 99.89. He left his job very close to the exam. Okay. Or in case you did work in the past but you could not get the desired score, and somebody like Mridul who consistently aimed at getting a better and better percentile for 3 continuous years, he ended up getting a 99.98. So maybe that's your goal. You are somebody who wants to get percentiles like these individuals, like Mridul, Anirudh, Pradeep, and countless other individuals who worked with us and got these great scores. So now in order to get these great scores, you need to go ahead and score a certain number of marks in the CAT exam, right? Now in the CAT exam, you have 68 questions, right? Can you guess how many of these 68 questions are reading comprehension questions? So this year we had 68 questions. Out of these 68, how many were RC questions? 16. So that's basically 23.5% of the entire CAT exam. So roughly speaking, 1/4 of your CAT exam is actually reading comprehension. So what's the why? You want to get a great CAT percentile, and if you want to get that, you realize how important RC is. It's practically 1/4 of your paper. And what is it that is required to excel at RC? So first up, reading is a skill, right? Now, how do we become better at skills? How do we improve at a skill? You improve at a skill through practice. So the more you read, the better a reader you are going to become. And that's why it is absolutely imperative that if you're a serious CAT aspirant, you go on to develop this habit of reading for the CAT. So, and within this, when I talk about reading as a skill, we go ahead and divide it into different things. So you want to increase your reading speed, you want to enhance your retention of the passage, you want to level up your comprehension. All these things are essentially skills, and they will improve. Sorry, yeah. They will improve when you practice. Of course, the practice has to be done in a structured manner, in a precise manner. So, I mean, practicing to increase your speed is different from practicing to enhance your comprehension. There are these subtle nuances, there are different reading styles that are required, and but we can talk about those in our subsequent classes. But then at the end of the day, because it is skill, it requires practice, and the more you practice, the better you go on to become, and that is why it is absolutely necessary for us to cultivate the skill. तो अब खुद सोचो यार, if an area is 25% of the cat, उसको रोज 25 मिनट तो दे सकते हैं ना. We can at least go ahead and give it 25 minutes. So think of this way. So the day you do not feel like reading, that is the day you come back and ask yourself, hey, do I want to get a great percentile in the CAT exam or not? And the truth is, we can actually go a level deeper. So what did we talk about? I said that you want to get a great CAT percentile. Now, why do you want to get into a great CAT percentile? Because it helps you in getting into a great college. Now, why do you want to get into a great college? Because that leads to a wonderful, a terrific, a great career. Now, what does a great career mean? A great career means money. A great career means status. A great career means enhanced satisfaction. So you can just extend this. So at the end of the day, you are working because you want to have certain things that money can buy. You're working because you want to have a certain level of status in the society. You want to be in a position where your work fulfills you, gives you satisfaction. So जैसे बहुत सारे लोग होते हैं ना, कई लोगों को होगा यार वो पैसा इसलिए लेना है क्योंकि मेरे को एक पर्टिकुलर कार चाहिए, एक पर्टिकुलर तरीके का घर चाहिए. हाँ, so the day you don't work is the day when you ask yourself, if CAT percentile does not motivate you, then you can ask yourself this: do I want to have that car? Do I want to have a particular house? When you get selected into a B school, look at how proud your parents must feel. So maybe you want to see that look on their face. So the day you don't work, well, that is the day when you're letting go of these things. So make this why bigger, make this why concrete, make this why precise, and you'd suddenly notice that reading, studying will become easy for you automatically. Okay? So, okay, और अच्छा, Atomic Habits बिल्कुल अच्छी किताब है, पढ़े यार, that's a terrific book. Okay, so that's step one. Work on your why. Write down what you want. Write down your goals. Work on your goal clarity. If you struggle to work on your goal clarity, let me know and I can conduct a workshop for you. We can sit down over maybe, a Zoom session and then go ahead and talk about these things. Okay? उसके बाद step number 2, sorry, ये चला जा रहा है आगे. For some reason, break away from bad habits. Break away from your bad habits. Okay, now what do I really mean by this? So somebody, a little while ago, somebody asked me, sir, time management is a problem. और ये बहुत लोगों के साथ है कि कॉलेज के साथ कैसे मैनेज करें, काम के साथ कैसे मैनेज करें. So we do face all these things, all these issues, all these challenges, right? So कैसे करें? How do we go on to do that? So part of the reason why we don't have time is that we may be engaging in things which are consuming a lot of our time. So we need to break free of those bad habits. Now, why are we at times not able to break free of those bad habits or acquire good habits? So one of the biggest things that I see people do is that they think of their habit, good or bad, whatever it is, they think of their habit as their identity. This is one huge red flag. If you see that happen, then I think we have a problem. Now, let me elaborate. Let me see what is it that we mean by this. So, come to think of it. If I say I am a coffee person, what does it mean? If I say I am a coffee person, what does it mean? The moment I say that, I'm somehow conveying, I'm somehow communicating that this is part of who I am. This is a part of my identity, isn't it? But then the truth is, uh, was I born as a coffee person? Well, there was a time when I did not consume coffee. Hell, I did not even consume tea. भाई मैं तो पंजाबी हूँ, मेरे घर में तो चाय कॉफ़ी देते ही नहीं थे बच्चों को, दूध देते थे, लस्सी देते थे. So I've grown up on that. As long as I stayed at my house with my parents, nobody asked me for a cup of chai ever or a cup of coffee ever. So where does it come from? So it just so happened that at some point of time I started drinking coffee, and then I kept at it for a while, so it became a habit. So it's just an activity that was repeated for a while. Now, the moment I say I'm a coffee person, it becomes a part of my identity, and we struggle to give up our identity. आइडेंटिटी थोड़ी छोड़ी जाती है. अब मुझे अगर कॉफ़ी छोड़नी होगी तो ये मेरे लिए मुश्किल हो जाएगा. So first up, we need to realize that we have given it an identity. In reality, it is not an identity. Now, how does it affect you when it comes to reading? I've seen a lot of people who come to me and say, sir, I am not a reader. People come to me and say, I cannot read books. Now, all that these statements mean is that, see, so far in your life, you have not done these things regularly. You've not done these things consistently. Right? That's all. Just a sec, guys. Hey, I'm joining you in a minute. Hey, sorry guys. So भाई ये ना तुम्हारी आइडेंटिटी नहीं है. इसका मतलब सिर्फ ये कि ये एक्टिविटी आज तक की नहीं. It does not mean that you cannot engage in this particular activity. कर सकते हैं आप, राइट? तो सबसे पहला तो ये. और दूसरा, इफ यू सी एनी बैड हैबिट, विच बेसिकली मीन्स दैट इफ यू सी अ हैबिट विच टेक्स योर रिसोर्सेज और टाइम, मनी, एफर्ट, बट इज नॉट टेकिंग यू टुवर्ड्स योर गोल, तो उन सबको हटा दो. फॉर एग्जाम्पल, सोशल मीडिया. सच सच बताओ कितना टाइम है जो, सम पीपल वर आस्किंग अबाउट टाइम मैनेजमेंट. सी, टाइम मैनेजमेंट इज नॉट अबाउट मैनेजिंग टाइम. इट्स अ मिसनॉमर. Time management is about managing ourselves so that we can make better use of that time. So anybody who's worried about time management, one of the first things that I typically advise them is to maintain a time log for a week. एक हफ्ते तक, for the next week, whatever you engage in, just write it down post facto. Once you've done it, write it down. So the total should turn out to be approximately 24 hours. I mean, you may not write everything. There are things that may take a minute or two. You won't write them, but total should be somewhat close to 24 hours, right? So check that. See if your time is actually getting into things which are productive. And if your time is getting into things which are not productive, which are not taking you closer to your goal, then those are the things that you need to eliminate. So one of those things is social media. So maybe you can look at that. uninstall it from your phone, maybe schedule social media breaks. There is a study which actually happened in Princeton University. That study said that if a person was working on an assignment with a phone kept next to him, he did not use it, there was just a phone kept next to him, then his performance was not as great as when he kept the phone in the other room. So we don't realize, but it can be a big distraction. It can be a big consumer of our unnecessary time, right? Okay, so focus on all those things. If there is anything that you have termed as your identity and that identity is not working for you, make sure that you stop adopting that identity. It is entirely up to you. Remember, I'm not a coffee person. I'm just somebody who happens to be drinking coffee for the last 8 years. And I can stop as and when I want to. So remind yourself of that. So this will automatically free up time to engage in better things. So with that, now let's talk about step 3. So start putting reading on your calendar. So देखो, अब मुझे I don't know much about you. हाँ, I think तुम में से काफ़ी सारे लोग तो ऐसे हैं जिनको मैं आज पहली बार मिल रहा हूँ. हाँ, maybe I am meeting you for the very first time, right? So tell me something. Do you prepare, do you work with a to-do list? Do you work with a to-do list? Oh, Anjali says these are basically trivial classes. Anjali, these are not trivial classes. Tell you what, now that I've been teaching for 24 years now, I realize these are some very genuine challenges that a lot of people face. बहुत छोटी छोटी चीज़ें हैं जो की नहीं होती हैं और उसकी वजह से issues हो जाते हैं. So some of you, I'm really glad to see that some of you do prepare a to-do list. Some of you do not. So this has to be the one thing that we can start doing. Use a calendar. Okay, so what I'm basically advising is that you should have a to-do list. Now what I've done, for example, if I'm a CAT aspirant, some people asked me at the beginning about daily schedule, kaisa hona chahiye, kaisa nahi. So if I'm a CAT aspirant, the very first thing that I will do is I will look at the syllabus. I will list down all the things that I need to master in order to get a great percentile in the CAT. Now once I have listed down all the syllabus, I will figure out a deadline. कि यार मुझे syllabus finish कब तक करना है. So for you, I would say that, okay, this is a good deadline, right? 1st of August is when your syllabus should be over. Now break this entire syllabus down into quarterly targets. Just have a list of the things that you want to achieve in the next 3 months. Okay, January, February, March. So quarterly targets. So decide on what you want to finish in the next 3 months. Then divide these targets into monthly targets. These monthly targets should be divided into weekly targets. And finally, every night before you go to sleep, write a daily to-do list. So if you work backwards now, your daily to-do list is in sync with your weekly targets, which is in sync with your monthly targets, which is in sync with your quarterly targets. So once a week, there is a day in which we sit down and review. Now this to-do list is very important because if you wake up and you do not even know what you're supposed to do, how would you really go ahead and prioritize it, right? Now within this to-do list, everything that you write should be specific. Okay, you write something which is specific. So in terms of reading, what do I mean by this? So I want you to read. Now what is it that I want you to read? I want you to read long form articles. I want you to read books, and that too non-fiction. Now where do you read these long form articles from? You read these articles from the places that the IIMs tap in order to create those RC passages. So कहाँ से आते हैं? They ask us the passages from places like Eon SS, The Guardian. बहुत सारे पैसेजेस न्यूयॉर्क टाइम्स से आते हैं. हाँ, इकोनॉमिस्ट से बहुत पैसेजेस पूछे जाते हैं. हाँ, you have places like Scientific American, nature.com, BBC. इस बार नेचर से काफ़ी आए, BBC से काफ़ी आए, right? So these are the kind of websites. Now, although we say this, now does that mean that you need to start from these? So ask you that question once again. Your Eon essay, now a lot of people say, sir, I read Eon essays, it does not make sense to me. In which case, it's absolutely okay to not read it. So identify where you are today and move towards something that develops you. So for example, if you open or if you start reading Eon essays today and you're not able to understand much of it, say you are able to understand only 20-25% of it, then Eon essays is not for you yet. It is not for you today. So make sure that you are reading stuff where you are able to understand some 60 to 80% of the text. Okay. Alongside that, make sure that you also work on vocabulary. So do that. Do it for 25 minutes every day. So pick up your sources accordingly. Same goes for books. It does not mean that you start reading philosophy today. It does not mean that you start reading Gurdjieff and Bertrand Russell today. Right? ऐसा नहीं है. Start from a place that you are comfortable with, or maybe, not entirely, something that just takes you a little bit outside your comfort zone. Start there. And then work your way upwards. In fact, in all these years of teaching, I have actually asked people at times even to read, and you'd be surprised. There is this one particular person, I asked him to start with English editions of this book called Champak, which is meant for children. Yeah. But he came from a place where he had no exposure to English. That was an absolutely good resource for him. There is this another person where I told him to start with India Today. Okay, so अपने level के हिसाब से शुरू करना है. So हर रोज, whatever it is. So let us say, and then the other question that people asked was, sir, Eon essays बहुत लंबे लंबे होते हैं, सर इतना पढ़ा नहीं जाता. यार छोड़ दो ना बीच में, किसने बोला पूरा पढ़ना ही पढ़ना है. So just persist for 25 odd minutes. After this you move out. In case it is very challenging for you and you're not able to make any head or tail of it after 3-4 minutes, you can always leave it and move over to some other kind of article. Okay, so switch over to something else. But whatever it is, you write it down. So imagine, so let us say you're preparing a to-do list today. So what do? You decide, कि भाई मैं ना, I am going to go to the Guardian website and read this specific article tomorrow. Dig it up today. Browse the website today. Put that link in your to-do list today, that this is what I'm reading. Or if it is not Guardian, let's say you're reading a book. For example, कौन सी किताब? Any book that you guys are reading. जैसे अभी थोड़ी देर पहले किसी ने बोला, चलो वही उठा लेते हैं, एटॉमिक हैबिट्स. So you write down that I am going to read Atomic Habit, page number 23 to page number 57. So that's specific. Okay, so if it's an article, तो exactly लिखना है कि क्या कर रहे हैं, कितना कर रहे हैं. Okay, Alchemist, Think Like a Monk, Rich Dad, Poor Dad, Psychology of Money, Kite Runner, man, a lot of compounding effect. Power of Bhaiya, तुम में से, okay, a lot of you guys are into reading self-help books. So let me address this first up. We would not consider reading a self-help book as reading for RC. Now, I am not against self-help books. It is just that they are supposed to be read in a different way. So in case you're reading a self-help book, how about reading a few pages before you go to sleep, and maybe a few pages when you wake up? Huh? So 2, 3, 4, 5 pages when you go off to sleep, another 2, 3, 4, 5 pages when you wake up. And in case they ask you to engage in some activity, some exercise, then maybe do that as well. ओके, सो सेल्फ हेल्प बुक्स को आरसी के लिए मत मानो, बट बाकी सब में ये. अब इसमें व्हाट काइंड ऑफ बुक्स? 7 हैबिट्स ऑफ हाईली इफेक्टिव पीपल, अमेजिंग बुक, बट आई होप दैट हेल्प्स. पर्सनल एमबीए, अरे अमन, एक्सेलेंट बुक, हाँ, पर्टिकुलरली फॉर somebody who wants to get into a B school. Sapiens, अरे युवल नोआ हरारी is one of those leading contemporary intellectuals. So Sapiens और इसका जो second part है, both of them are good. तीसरी किताब वो 21 lessons for 21st century, वो थोड़ा stretched out है, वो skip कर देना. Okay, now Ritu says, what genre of book should we read? Now if you are a beginner, if you've never read a book, then there is a list of books that I recommend to beginners. I've already shared that list in the Facebook group that we have on फॉर iQUANTA. रिमेंबर वो कैट प्रेपरेशन iQUANTA, उसमें मैंने ना कल या परसों ही वो लिस्ट शेयर की है. सो दैट्स अ बुक फॉर बिगिनर्स. हाँ, सो इफ यू नॉट इनटू रीडिंग, गो अहेड, check out that post. There are 6 books that are mentioned there. Start with those books, read them in the order that they are listed. उस लिस्ट में सबसे पहली किताब है Who Moved My Cheese, डॉक्टर स्पेंसर जॉनसन. अरे 35-40 पेज की बुक, उसमें फोटोज भी इंक्लूडेड हैं. तो वो ऐसे मतलब खाना खाते खाते शायद एक दिन में भी आप पढ़ पाए. ओके, इज साइकोलॉजी ऑफ मनी ए सेल्फ हेल्प बुक? नो, इट्स मोर ऑफ एन इन्वेस्टिंग बुक. ओके, एंड देयर आफ्टर, if I am working with you in the batch, you just we can talk about it more there, or there in the Facebook group, or maybe you tell me what all you have read and what kind of books now you plan to read, and I can help you. I noticed somebody a little while ago said, sir, I read fiction, what should I do now? So fiction में भी ना categories होती हैं. Okay, so for example, you have fiction. फिर fiction में भी there is this high fiction where somebody goes ahead and creates a complete universe. फिर fiction में भी there is this literary fiction, the kind of books which are written by people like Salman Rushdie and Gabriel Garcia Marquez, or Camus and Kafka and Morrison, those kinds. So if you are into popular fiction, then maybe you can move from popular fiction to high fiction to literary fiction, और उसमें भी अलग अलग genres experiment करते रहो. And from literary fiction you would want to get into popular non-fiction, और फिर popular non-fiction के बाद, depending upon which genre, which subject matter you want to go ahead and become acquainted with, maybe some introductory non-fiction books for those subjects, and thereafter it's an entire world out there. Saptak, yes, The Prince is actually quite good. Word Power Made Easy for vocabulary is a good choice. You can go ahead and read it. McKinsey articles are good for RCs. Yes, they are good, but don't stick to just one source. Avishak, how to reach out to you? Avishak, if you have joined iQUANTA, then you and I are already going to be part of a private Facebook group and a private WhatsApp group, so we can interact there. In case you have not joined iQUANTA, then we have a public group called Cat Preparation iQUANTA. Join that. My name is Vikrant. You can look me up there, and then if you have a question, you can just ask me the questions there. Tag it to me. Tanay, how is Robert Greene wala wo kitab, 48 Laws of Power? Achhi kitab hai, but there are a couple of books that I think I can recommend which are going to be better for you, which you should read before you read the Laws of Power thing. So एक influence करके किताब है, वो पढ़े. Never Split the Difference, वो पढ़े, and then maybe you can get into those 48 laws of power. It's a seductive book, but I'm just looking at it from the perspective of what is more useful for your career and for reading comprehension. Any suggestions on the Intelligent Investor book? Ram, Intelligent Investor was basically a book which was written to tell us that do not do what everyone else does. So if you purely look at it as an investment book, it is outdated. There are other books which are better. But if you are simply looking at it from the perspective of, get to know a little bit about investment and then become a better reader as well, then you can definitely go ahead and pick it up. Okay, NYT articles, Biswadeep, absolutely yes. Just a couple of minutes ago, I have in fact shared that for you. एनी प्लान ऑफ कोर्स फॉर 3 years? नहीं प्रेम, 3 साल का यार ओवर किल हो जाएगा, 12-15 महीने से ऊपर की तो ज़रूरत नहीं पड़ती. बट just hit me up after this session and I can help you in getting it. But in private group also we cannot message you. अरे you can, क्यों नहीं कर सकते हो? कर सकते हो. अल्केमिस्ट बहुत अच्छी है, क्राइम एंड पनिशमेंट काफ़ी अच्छी है, एंजल्स डीमंस, दा विंची कोड वगैरह ठीक है. वो थोड़ा अगर ये सब पढ़ चुके हो तो थोड़ा नेक्स्ट लेवल पे लेकर के जाओ. Ikigai is Muskan. Okay, it's a good book. It's a perspective. From RC's perspective, it will be easier. You need to move ahead. You're not able to access your course on dashboard. Albasti, just reach out to our support team. They'll help you with that. Will I be discussing VRC syllabus with you? Absolutely, yes. In one of the sessions, I'll definitely do that. When will the lectures start on Facebook? Sheikh, I'll just have a word with my team and I'll get to know. मैं यार schedule बनाता नहीं हूँ भाई. ना तो टीम बनाती है, वो जहाँ बना के वो सेशन लगा देते हैं, फिर हम जाके ले लेते हैं. तो हमसे कंसल्ट करके ही बनाते हैं, मगर वो प्लेटफॉर्म शुरुआती दौर का यार थोड़ा सा देखना पड़ेगा. ओके, व्हाट इज डेली रूटीन? ओके, सो मेरे टू डू लिस्ट में अब बेसिकली अगर आप कैट एस्पिरेंट हैं और डेली रूटीन की बात करें, सो आई थिंक ऑफ इट इन अ चंक ऑफ 7 days, 1 week. Now in these 7 days I need to work on quant, DI, LR and VARC. मुझे हर हफ्ते ये 4 चीज़ें करनी है. आई नीड टू डू दीज 4 things every week. Does that mean that you engage in these 4 things every day? Well, that is not necessary. So there are some things that you would ideally want to do every day. So what are those things that you would ideally want to do every day? Reading, vocabulary, grammar, calculation skills, and puzzles. Basically something or the other related to LR. थोड़ा बहुत कुछ puzzles उठा के करना शुरू कर दें. So ideally these are the things that you definitely want to engage in every day. Apart from that, if you have time, you would also like to work on your communication skills which are required for the next round. Do you realize that when it comes to I am Ahmedabad, I am Bangalore, I am Calcutta, I am Lucknow, somewhere around 30 to 50% of the weightage is given to your interview in the final selection. So communication skills, that important, okay? And additionally, maybe also work on your writing skills, which is actually a sub part of your communication skills. राइट अब इसके अलावा हाँ सुडोको विल डू, साईनाथ व्हाई नॉट. अपार्ट फ्रॉम दैट यू वुड वांट टू वर्क ऑन सम अदर चैप्टर. सो थिंक ऑफ थिंग्स, these things as things that you do every day. Apart from these, you want to work on some chapter or the other. For example, if you are if you are beginning with VARC, so you would want to work on paragraph summary questions. Once you are done with summary questions, you can add critical reasoning to the list. अब summary can be thought of as a chapter कि यार 1 हफ्ता 10 दिन 2 हफ्ता काम किया. Once you become comfortable, you move over to critical reasoning. So वही 3-4 हफ्ते काम किया critical reasoning पे, maybe 5 हफ्ते 6 हफ्ते, and then you move over to something else. तो जिस दिन आप इंग्लिश करें, let's say इसके बाद आपके पास इतना सा ही टाइम है कि शायद आप 30-40 मिनट ही काम कर पाए, तो हफ्ते में 2 दिन वर्बल एबिलिटी कर लिया, 2 दिन इसी तरह से क्वांट को दे दिए, 2 दिन DI को, 2 दिन 1-2 दिन LR को, ऐसे करके ना you just manage your time. And on weekends, irrespective whether you are in college or working, weekends are usually free, so that is a day when you can go all out and put in even more efforts. How to influence friends and win people? How to win friends and influence people. मैं तभी सोचूं ये क्यों सीखने जा रहा. It's a good book. If you want to, you can read it. Prem, let's talk about this once this session is over. Session जब खत्म हो जाए तो reach out to me. I'll help you create a plan where थोड़ी प्रोफाइल की भी बातें फिर करेंगे हम लोग. ओके, सो इस तरह से प्लान बनाना है आपको. सो हर रोज कुछ चीज़ें जो रोज आइडियली करें तो अच्छा, एंड देन जो टाइम बचे, इन केस बहुत सारा टाइम नहीं है तो जस्ट पिक अप वन ऑफ द 4 sections. आई हैव टोल्ड यू वेयर टू स्टार्ट फ्रॉम व्हेन इट कम्स टू इंग्लिश. And then similarly, when you meet the faculty members for the other areas, they can go ahead and talk about it too. The Hindu, absolutely, you can start reading the Hindu. It's a good newspaper, particularly the editorial page. But वो starting के लिए ठीक है. After a while, if you're preparing for RCs, we need to move towards those websites and books that I've gone to talk about. Anonymous is asking about preparing for vocabulary. यार मैंने एक session बना देता हूँ. एक session बना के ना recorded छोड़ दूंगा within the next week or so. Hopefully that will give you a more detailed answer. Okay, so please make a to-do list, and on that list make or put in a very specific plan of reading there. So क्या चीज पढ़ रहे हो, कितनी देर या कितने पेजेस पढ़ रहे हो should be there. So make sure that it is very specific and measurable. Okay, Kashvi says, what's a good CGPA? यार देखो, if you convert it into percentages, anything above 80% is really good, and above 90% is mind-blowing. Where can we see your suggested books to start with? Ritu, there is this group called Cat Preparation iQUANTA. मैंने 2 दिन पहले वहाँ पोस्ट डाली है, वहाँ देख लीजिएगा एक बार. Okay? Okay, so that's step 3. Now step 4. The habit loop. So अब सब हो गया, पढ़ना क्यों है, क्या है, टाइम कैसे निकालना है, वो सब हो गया. तो हैबिट लूप क्या होता है कि देखो, सिंस वी आर टॉकिंग अबाउट हैबिट्स फॉलो अ पैटर्न. इन योर हैबिट यू टिपिकली हैव दीज 3 थिंग्स. यू हैव अ क्यू, दैट क्यू लीड्स टू अ रूटीन, एंड दैट रूटीन एंड्स अप इन अ रिवॉर्ड. फॉर एग्जाम्पल, थोड़ा गौरी, थोड़ा डार्क एग्जाम्पल लेते हैं ना. यू हैव सीन देयर आर पीपल हु स्मोक. So I know some of them, they happen to be my colleagues. These smokers, what do their cue is, let's say a stressful event, or let's say there are these couple of people that they smoke with every day, or maybe they smoke after lunch, whatever. So cue can be lunch. वो लंच खत्म हुआ और अपने दोस्तों के साथ थे, तो इसके बाद में ना ऑटोमेटिक है कि इसके बाद ये लोग कई दिनों से, कई हफ्तों से, कई महीनों से सिगरेट पी रहे हैं. So अब जैसे ये क्यू मिलता है, on autopilot they go out and smoke, and when they smoke they get that kick from the nicotine, right? तो अब अगर आपको रीडिंग में जाना है and you want to build it, तो इसी तरह का ना कुछ हैबिट लूप बनाएं. So just decide on a cue. So a cue is typically built by stacking. So there are certain things that you do every day. Maybe you can decide that after one of those things that I already do every day, I will pick up a book. So I'll give you some example. A lot of us are in the habit of brushing our teeth. So you realize that after I brush my teeth, I'm going to pick up a book and read. Or I was listening to a podcast where Tanmay, remember Tanmay Bhatt, you know, AIB wala Tanmay Bhatt? He was talking about his weight loss, and he said that I hate going to a gym. But then he said that I love playing badminton. So his routine was, यार मैं जाऊँगा, बैडमिंटन खेलूँगा और उसके बाद जिम जाऊँगा. I think that's what he said. So he was basically habit stacking. So कोई भी एक चीज जो आप ऑलरेडी करते हैं उसके साथ दूसरी चीज स्टैक करनी शुरू कर दें. So these things, they become your cues, and this cue should be followed by a desirable action now. Okay, so the cue should be followed by a desirable action now, right? So yeah, if अगर तुम कंप्यूटर प्रोग्रामिंग वाले एंगल से देखो तो इसके अलावा you can create what I call these ITT statements in your life. So if this, then that. So for example, I'll tell you, I had and at times even have a nasty habit of checking my phone on the bed. जबकि मुझे पता है सोना बड़ा important है. ये हम सबको पता है सोना important है. We all know sleep is important. But then I unfortunately also ended up reading that book called Why We Sleep. And man, that's one mind-blowing book that tells you that if you don't sleep, you're done for, huh? So now, one of the if TTT statements for me is that if I see my phone in the bedroom after 9 p.m., then I will get up and leave my phone on the डाइनिंग टेबल. तो आपने देखा मैंने ना वो डिसीजन को ऑटोमेट कर दिया है, सोचना नहीं है अब मुझे, सोचना नहीं है, ऑटोमेट है. ठीक इसी तरह से से इफ दिस, इफ आई ब्रश माई टीथ देन आई फॉलो इट अप विद रीडिंग, और इफ आई हैव माई ब्रेकफास्ट आई फॉलो इट अप विद रीडिंग. और इसमें जहाँ जहाँ कोई ऐसी हैबिट है, जहाँ जहाँ खासतौर पे ना, लेट्स से आप टीवी देख रहे हैं अननेसेसरीली ज़्यादा, आप सोशल मीडिया यूज़ कर रहे हैं, तो देखिए उसके ठीक पहले क्या होता है, वहाँ पे रिप्लेस करें. दूसरा, रिड्यूस द रेजिस्टेंस. ओके, रिड्यूस द रेजिस्टेंस. हाउ डू यू रिड्यूस द रेजिस्टेंस? फॉर एग्जाम्पल, मोस्ट ऑफ यू आर लाइकली टू रीड ऑन योर फोन, right? So on your web browser, never close the websites, right? आप अब है ना इयॉन एसेस का एक टैब हमेशा खोल के छोड़ दो, उसके अलावा गार्डियन का एक टैब हमेशा खोल के छोड़ दो. ये दो नहीं, बीच बीच में यू कैन कीप स्विचिंग बिटवीन एंड अमंग दीज वेबसाइट्स, बट मेक श्योर दैट यू ऑलवेज हैव two of these tabs open so that you don't even have to type. Make sure that they are on your home page there. Make sure that you get to open these websites by a single click. Right? So web browser में रखें. Always keep your books handy. Whenever you feel like reading, you should not be forced to take multiple actions. You should always be able to reach a book within 20 seconds of deciding that I want to read. Do that and you'd suddenly see कि यार इससे बड़ा फर्क पड़ेगा. ओके, सो वो बुक्स को आसपास रखना शुरू कर दें, फिजिकल कॉपीज पर्टिकुलरली इफ यू कैन अफोर्ड देम. हाँ, अगर आप सॉफ्ट कॉपीज भी पढ़ रहे हैं तो जैसा ये वेब ब्राउजर में किया ठीक वैसे ही मेक श्योर दैट देयर इज अ बुक, वो पीडीएफ वीडीएफ जैसे भी, ई रीडर में जैसे भी, इज ऑलवेज ओपन ऑन योर लैपटॉप. उसको क्लोज करना ही नहीं है हमने. Okay, so that's how you build a habit loop, and pretty soon the rewards will also come. Those rewards will come when you are able to score better marks in RC. Those rewards will come when you notice that your conversation and your communication is becoming more polished. And those rewards are also more or less instantaneous, because कोई भी अच्छी चीज़ करते हैं ना तो बाद में डोपामीन तो रिलीज होता है ना. खासतौर पे a challenging thing that you know has helped you grow is like hitting a gym, right? In a gym, when you exhaust yourself, it's such a nice feeling. Exactly the same way when you read a book and you exhaust yourself, such a nice feeling because it has made your mind grow. That's how it really happens. तो ये पूरा loop अपना बनाओ, इसमें resistance कम करो, automate करो situations को if TTT बना करके, and all of these things will help. Okay, or finally, step 5 is you can be a part of a group which promotes reading, है ना? So you realize a supportive group that allows you to read is always fantastic. So you can join a book club, you can talk to some friends of yours, or maybe I think somebody suggested it a little while ago in the chat. So हम habits की बात कर रहे थे, तो I think somebody suggested atomic habits. How about reading this book together? You know, you and I, we can form a group where the readers can converge, the readers can come together, and we can decide on some books where we read them together. We probably discuss those together once every 2 weeks or so, or maybe even more frequently. बीच बीच में कई बार खाली होता हूँ, ग्रुप बनाएंगे तो उसमें बात करना शुरू कर सकते हैं हम लोग. राइट और कोई तुम्हें ग्रुप कम्युनिटी नहीं मिल रही तो भाई ज्वाइन iQUANTA, बिकॉज वी आर ऑलवेज देयर एंड वी कंसिस्टेंटली कीप थिंकिंग ऑफ हाउ वी कैन मेक थिंग्स रेगुलर, है ना. सो फॉर एग्जाम्पल यू नीड क्लैरिटी अबाउट व्हाट टू रीड, फ्रॉम वेयर टू रीड, हाउ टू रीड. If you are part of the community here, you'd have those answers on your fingertips. You just need to post the question, somebody or the other will reply. Moreover, even as an organization, we try to make things easy. For example, do you know that we have links to 250 articles divided across different genres that you can start with? After all, अभी यौन एस्से में भी जाना है तो सोचना तो पड़ेगा ना क्या पढ़ूं. But if you access this list, आपको सोचना भी नहीं पड़ेगा. और इसके अलावा ऑफ कोर्स कैट प्रिपरेशन के बाकी सारे फायदे तो हैं ही ना. हाँ, वो आपको जो नॉन इंजीनियर्स क्यूए है, इंजीनियर्स VARC है, फिर कॉन्सेप्ट सेशंस हैं, एप्लीकेशन क्लासेस हैं, डैशबोर्ड असाइनमेंट्स हैं, वो सारी चीज़ें इवेंचुअली ले ही जाती हैं कॉलेज में. एंड दोज ऑफ यू डू नॉट नो मच अबाउट iQUANTA स्टिल, यार दीज आर द काइंड ऑफ थिंग्स दैट वी डू. इफ यू एनरोल, यू कैन स्टार्ट वर्किंग ऑन दीज टू थिंग्स राइट अवे टुडे. उसके बाद आती हैं फिर लाइव क्लासेस. हाँ, वो लाइव क्लासेस मेरे पीछे छुपी हुई हैं, बट मैं बता रहा हूँ लाइव क्लासेस जो मैं और मेरे कलीग्स लेते हैं. उसके बाद एप्लीकेशन क्लासेस वेर यू गो थ्रू द क्वेश्चंस बेस्ड ऑन द कॉन्सेप्ट्स दैट वर टॉट टू यू इन द लाइव क्लासेस, और वो भी सेग्रीगेटेड. फिर उसके बाद आप जाके असाइनमेंट्स करते हैं. उसके बाद कुछ प्रैक्टिस सेशंस, मैराथन्स वगैरह हम लेते रहते हैं. उसके बाद फिर कैट लेवल के कुछ सवाल, तो वो इवेंचुअली वी टेक यू थ्रू एवरीथिंग. Okay, so that's how, and these are the kind of things that have helped us get this many IM calls. I mean, इस साल we have more than 500 students who have gone on to score 99 percentile from our batches. So you can be one of those, but for that you need to take concrete actions. And now I'm all yours. This is what I had planned to talk about. So now I'm all yours. Now I'm going to read your questions carefully and try to give some quick answers to those questions, and we'll try to wrap up as many as we can. और बीच में यार बहुत सारे लोगों ने questions भेजे होंगे जो मैं शायद नहीं पढ़ पाया, but if you share a question now, I can go ahead and talk about it straight away. Okay, chat में देखें और क्या है. What else? I'm doing CA2 along with the CAT. बहुत अच्छी बात है यार. Both of these things are very challenging. So ये मान के चलो कि तुम्हारा social life खत्म. I want to discuss few things regarding CAT prep as I joined recently. Absolutely, yes, you can message me यार. Absolutely, please do reach out. Could someone tell me in brief what happened? अरे सृजन reading habit के बारे में बात कर रहे थे. How to access this list of 250 articles? यार टीम से कोई है तो प्लीज़ एक बार यार वो डायरेक्ट लिंक शेयर कर दें. अदरवाइज वो डैशबोर्ड में फ्री रिसोर्सेज वाले सेक्शन में चले जाएं, मिल जाएगा. नहीं तो यार वो यूट्यूब में लिख दो ना 250 आर्टिकल लिंक्स iQUANTA. इट शुड होपफुली वर्क. हाउ टू रीच मी? यार कैट प्रिपरेशन iQUANTA वाले ग्रुप में आप टैग कर सकते हैं. आई एम देयर. माई नेम इज़ विक्रांत. वेयर कैन वी फाइंड द सिलेबस? यार सिलेबस VARC का ना मैंने अभी 4-5 रोज़ पहले सेशन लिया था, आप वो देख लें. नहीं तो इफ़ यू पार्ट ऑफ अवर पेड ग्रुप, पहले क्लास में मैं बहुत सब डिटेल में बताता हूँ, तो ये हो जाएगा. सब तक इट इज़ देयर इन दैट ग्रुप कॉल्ड कैट प्रिपरेशन iQUANTA. हाउ मेनी स्टूडेंट्स पर 500? यार वो थोड़ा ट्रेड सीक्रेट हो जाता है यार, कॉम्पिटिटर्स को बताते नहीं ना हम ये चीज़ें, तो वो थोड़ा छुपी हुई चीज़ है. बट इंडस्ट्री में बहुत कम हुआ है ऐसा कि एक इंस्टीट्यूट ने 599 परसेंटाइल निकाले हो. कैन यू रिलीज दैट 25 आंसर की? देवेश यार इनफैक्ट इस सेशन से पहले ही मेरी टीम से बात हुई थी, वो लोग काम कर रहे हैं इस पर. लेट्स सी व्हाट हैपेंस. Mayuri, we are making a dedicated video which will talk about the daily plan for a working professional and a non-working professional. Give us within the next 7 days, we'll go ahead and upload it. Anju says how to join Facebook group. Facebook पे जाके देख लेना, कैट प्रिपरेशन iQUANTA पब्लिक ग्रुप है. Your thoughts on Can't Hurt Me, David Goggins. अरे बड़ी अच्छी किताब है, स्पर्श पढ़ के देखो. It's a good book to go through. You at least realize the kind of fortitude, the mental toughness that is needed. Dishita, pretty soon. I'll just check with the team कि क्या plan है. Harshit, it is not an either or situation. आप articles और books दोनों पढ़ सकते हैं. So if there are certain genres, certain subject matters that get asked in the CAT but they trouble you a lot, तो उनमें reading a book is always amazing. बाकी आर्टिकल से भी चल सकता है. 0 to 1 काफ़ी अच्छी किताब है, particularly if you want to become an entrepreneur. Does iQUANTA help with GMAT? Yes, Ashutosh, we do offer a GMAT score as well. How to improve communication skills? So Alice Smith, first up, it is a skill, which means that you need to practice. So find situations to practice. Imagine if you want to become a better singer, what would you do? रियाज करोगे ना एक जगह ढूंढ के, और कोई ऐसी जगह ढूंढ लो जहाँ लोग इनपुट्स दे पाते हो. सो फॉर एग्जाम्पल इन माई लाइफ आई हैव स्पेंट अ कपल ऑफ ईयर्स विद दिस organization called Toastmasters International. You can join that. Maybe your college has some group discussion, practice group, etc. You can join that, or any other public speaking opportunity. Just try grabbing it. Online batch versus iQUANTA offline batch. What should I take? Keshav, entirely up to you, yaar. If we are in the city where you are at, यू कैन चेक. मतलब ऑफलाइन में अगर तुमको लगता है कि नहीं तुम्हारा डिसिप्लिन लेवल थोड़ा ज़्यादा ही कम है तो ऑफलाइन देख सकते हो. बाकी ऑफलाइन के अपने कुछ फ़ायदे हैं, ऑनलाइन के अपने कुछ फ़ायदे हैं. Written IELTS before, does CAT VRC have any similarities? Sudarshan, IELTS is very easy. CAT exam compared to IELTS is man tough. Why don't you go through one PYQ? आपको iQUANTA के वेबसाइट पे CAT के प्रीवियस ईयर पेपर्स मिल जाएंगे. किसी एक पेपर का, पिछले 5 साल के किसी भी एक पेपर का VARC उठा के करो, and then you'd realize. Okay. Finished my graduation this year August. Fine if I don't work. Karuna, I mean, it's okay. It's not ideal, but it's okay. Ideally, you would want to be working or doing something else which can help you move towards your career goal. अर्पित, इसका डाल देंगे यार. काफ़ी सारे ऐसे सेट BBC के वेबसाइट से आए थे, नेचर से आए थे, इकोनॉमिस्ट से आए थे. 3 पैसेजेस, 3 या 4 पैसेजेस. सो आई थिंक वो इंस्टाग्राम में या यूट्यूब में कहीं डाल देंगे यार उसको बना करके. प्रतीक, इफ़ यू आर अ पेड स्टूडेंट तो आपके पास है ना एस्केलेशन मैट्रिक्स, वो टीम को बोल दो, दे ऑटोमेटिकली प्लान. Is it a practical idea to have a 9-hour job, work on personal startup business as well as prepare for the CAT? Christy, that'll be a bit too much यार. A job plus a startup और job plus CAT, ये तीनों चीज़ें तो एक साथ मुझे नहीं लगता कि हो पाएंगी. I don't think you'd be able to do all the 3 things. ओके. और चलो कुछ रीसेंट, अरे बाबा इतने सारे मैसेजेस. हाँ, शेड्यूल यार आपको मिल जाएगा बहुत जल्दी ग्रुप का. Preparing for CAT with CFA level 1. Yes, Ankit, that sounds absolutely wonderful. लखनऊ यार, प्रियंका मैम को मैं पूछ लूँगा, जो हमारा नेटवर्क जो चैनल देखती हैं उनको, दे कैन टेल. न्यूज़पेपर यार, द हिंदू और द इंडियन एक्सप्रेस. कैन यू स्टार्ट साइकोलॉजी ऑफ मनी? एब्सोल्युटली यस यू कैन. Time schedule for live classes are usually 7 p.m. to 9 p.m. and the application classes happen from 10 to 12. Shruti, low percentage in 10th and 12th but good in UG. What should I do now? यार अब कुछ नहीं कर सकते ना, जो हो गया हो गया, उसको इग्नोर करो, बस आगे वाले स्टेजेस पे काम करो. You reading How to Talk to Anyone, is it okay? Absolutely, Manish, it's a decent book. It teaches you to engage in small talk, which is very important. Yes. Forbes VARC के लिए पढ़ सकते हो, बट Forbes ना थोड़ा easy हो जाएगा. The passages there are easy, not exactly CAT level. GMAT Manhattan book for VARC. Anonymous, you can use it for critical reasoning and maybe later on for practicing RCs after you've gone through the CAT passages. For CR definitely yes. The rest of the areas may not be like अब बचा ही क्या है, CR और RC है. So RC उतना relevant नहीं होगा जितना है. How to reach out to me? यार वो ग्रुप से reach out कर सकते हैं आप. अगर स्टूडेंट नहीं है तो, स्टूडेंट है तो टीम में किसी को भी बोल दो, वो फिक्स कर देंगे कुछ ना कुछ मीटिंग. मिस्ड क्लासेस फेसबुक ग्रुप पे सारी क्लासेस के रिकॉर्डिंग्स अवेलेबल रहते हैं. यू कैन गो एड एंड वॉच दोज. हाँ, अरे वो गूगल कर ले यार, 250 आर्टिकल्स वाला लिंक. RC 99 एरिस्टोटल, वही एरिस्टोटल भी थोड़ा LSAT फोकस्ड पैसेजेस हैं, ठीक है एज अ प्रैक्टिस. बट इंडियन बी स्कूल CAT का और LSAT का ना वो थोड़ा डिफरेंट टेक होता है. GMAT का भी थोड़ा डिफरेंट टेक होता है. सो दे आर ओके, दे डिसेंट, बट दे मे नॉट बी अ परफेक्ट फिट फॉर सम बुक्स ऑन एंटरप्रेन्योरशिप. अभी किसी ने लिखी थी यार 0 to 1, यू कैन स्टार्ट विद दैट. बुक्स ऑफर्ड बाय iQUANTA आर इनफ फॉर VRC. सेजल यार इनफ तो पता नहीं, बट ज़्यादातर लोगों के लिए सफिशिएंट रहती है. उसके बाद भी अगर डिज़ायर्ड एक्यूरेसी नहीं आएगा तो कुछ एक्स्ट्रा सोच सकते हैं, बट नॉर्मली ज़रूरत पड़ेगी नहीं. उसके बाद आपको पड़ेगी तो आप IMABC बैच ले सकते हैं. उसमें यार देर आर 7500 क्वेश्चंस देयर. सो बहुत सारा है. याशित सर ऑलरेडी एनरोल्ड, तो यार वो वहाँ से शुरू करो. engineers VARC and non-engineers QA से. Okay, start there. Weak at math, do you think should practice class 7 to 10 math? Orams, if you are studying on your own, absolutely yes. Make that 6th to 10th. If you are already part of iQUANTA, तो 6th to 10th में जितनी relevant चीज़ें हैं CAT की, we have captured all of those in our module called non-engineers QA. उसमें आपको सब मिल जाएगा, so you won't have to go through those books. That module alone will suffice. How can I get into better networks? So I'm assuming you're talking about networking. The first principle of networking is make yourself more useful for others. That helps you grow your job. शाबाज, एक डेडिकेटेड वीडियो आ जाएगा यार आपके लिए विद इन द नेक्स्ट 7 days, शायद सूनर, जिसमें हम वर्किंग प्रोफेशनल्स का प्लान शेयर कर देंगे. 1 year of work experience and after that 2 years of gap, will it affect? Hacked it, यार प्रीमियर कॉलेजेस में ये थोड़ा मुश्किल क्रिएट करेगा. इंटरव्यू में आपको इसे जस्टिफाई करना पड़ेगा. इफ़ यू कैन जस्टिफाई देन येस, इफ़ यू कांट जस्टिफाई इट देन इट विल बी एन इशू. मनी फॉर नो, टाइम्स ऑफ इंडिया गुड फॉर आरसीज? नो. वैसे पढ़ सकते हो, आरसीज के लिए बहुत उतना अच्छा नहीं होगा. इस ये आर्टिकलशिप काउंटेड इन वर्क एक्सपीरियंस? मेरे ख्याल से नहीं. आई डोंट थिंक सो. Will you discuss the VRC syllabus in class? Absolutely yes, Kumar Kirit, we will do that. और क्या कुछ necessary to see the basics video of iQUANTA? Muskan, if you need foundation help then yes, otherwise no. हालांकि VRC वाला तो देख ही सकते हो. नॉन इंजीनियर्स QA, फिर उस केस में अगर आप क्वांट में अच्छे हैं तो ऑप्शनल है. Celia, I have already talked about some of the things that we need to do every day. उसके बाद फिर देखो, जो लाइव क्लासेस और एप्लीकेशन क्लासेस उन्हें प्रायोरिटाइज करें. एवरीथिंग एल्स कैन हैपन लेटर. विल इट नॉट बी कवर्ड अगेन? आई हैव टू डू इट माई सेल्फ नाउ. iQUANTA profs will not. What? Every class that we take is available to you as a recording in your group. Okay, sir, what about newspapers and no additional books at all? Nah man, for RCs that won't work. Just newspapers won't work. New batch, Bake My Day, yes. Bake My Day by Bhavika. Okay, so I'm assuming you're Bhavika. Bhavika, yes, we always start our classes with basics, not absolute basics, because we've already given the absolute basics in our modules, but बिल्कुल basics से शुरू करते हैं. कोशिश यही रहती है that everybody is able to follow. Family business, last 3 years, as long as it was after graduation full time and paid, then yes, you can show it as work experience. वो कैब पर वीडियो एब्सोल्युटली डन, मैंने बोला था बिल्कुल कर देंगे यार. वर्किंग प्रोफेशनल वांट टू जॉइन iQUANTA, क्लास टाइमिंग्स 10 to 7. हाँ बिल्कुल विशाल, वो तो रिकॉर्डिंग्स तो रहती हैं और क्लासेस भी 7 to 9 ही होती हैं यार. तो हाँ, अगर आप 7 बजे फ्री होते हैं तो आई कैन अंडरस्टैंड दैट इशू, बट येस, ऑल द क्लासेस आर गोइंग टू बी अवेलेबल टू यू. If you're an avid reader, how to approach CAT RCs? Vasudha, in that case, start solving passages. And try to keep an eye on those genres that trouble you more and those question types that trouble you more. So those troublesome areas will become your guide. The area that troubles you is the area that you need to focus on. How many weekly classes are held in iQUANTA batch? यार वो depend करता है पेपर के कितना पास में है या बैच कितना पास में शुरू हो रहा है. But typically you go through at least around 7 classes every week. What is the right time to solve daily sets? Neha, once you're done with foundations, you should solve daily sets. So जैसे if you're asking about let's say DI, तो थोड़ा basic arithmetic कर ले, arithmetic का module कर लो, थोड़ा calculation skills में अच्छे हो जाओ, उसके बाद you can start working on those sets. LR के sets उसके पहले भी शुरू कर सकते हैं आप. Being a UG student, I want to jump to MBA without any work experience. Will it create any issues? No, Avni, you can. There are 30-40% of the freshers do make it to a premier B schools every year. What is updated in new books of iQUANTA? यार जब पेपर का पैटर्न चेंज होता है ना, तो थोड़ा we aim at making those questions more relevant and consistent. So that's usually the goal. 1 year gap while working for NGO. How does that sound? 1 year of gap while, okay, so you're saying that you'd be working for an NGO but not working full time. Will that be great? Absolutely yes. That sounds great. 5 years of experience, will that be an issue? Sudarshan, in Indian B schools, if you happen to have work experience of more than 4 years, then it does become a bit of a challenge at times. Colleges start hesitating a bit. So you can look at colleges, international colleges. You can look at ISB Hyderabad, colleges in the US, Europe. You can look at the executive programs of Indian B schools alongside the conventional options. So देख सकते हैं. अंकित, when you talk about leadership, यार वो कोई एक चीज़ नहीं होती है ना, उसमें मल्टीपल चीज़ें हैं. तो कहाँ से शुरू करें? अरे there is this book. अरे यार, इट्स एट द टिप ऑफ माई टंग, नाम याद नहीं आ रहा, याद आते ही शेयर करूंगा. न्यूज़पेपर फोन में रीड कर सकता है? बिल्कुल कर सकते हैं अदिति. सिबिशा, कैन आई गेट एग्जाम्स क्लियर्ड इन द फर्स्ट अटेम्प्ट? एब्सोल्युटली यस. फुल टाइम ट्रेडर सिंस 2 years, इट्स ओके, देन यू कैन ऑलवेज थिंक ऑफ इट एज योर ओन वेंचर यार. What else? When will the syllabus be over? If the batch starts today, we'll aim at finishing the entire syllabus in around 5 months. Do certifications help? Shikhar, absolutely they do, especially if they are consistent with your long-term career goal. Should we also prepare for the GMAT? Arpit, if you want to target colleges abroad and you have the profile for them, or you also want to keep MIM as an option, why not? For GDP, is it necessary to read newspapers to strengthen the GK? हाँ यार, थोड़ा बहुत GK अच्छा हो तो अच्छा ही है ना, तो पढ़ लेना चाहिए. रचित, व्हाट आर डेली सेट्स? अरे वो डेली सेट्स मतलब डेटा इंटरप्रिटेशन का एक सेट, लॉजिकल रीजनिंग का एक सेट, उसकी बात. लॉ एंड MBA गुड कॉम्बिनेशन. शगंती पवित्रा, या लॉट ऑफ पीपल डू दैट. So if you think law is something which is consistent with your long-term career goals, you can definitely look at it. Okay, Sparsh, it's still okay, you can do that if you want to. Shabaz, how much weekly classes? अच्छा, वो तो मैंने अभी थोड़ी देर पहले बताई दिया आपको. Already missed classes will not be taken. उनकी recording available रहती है, and then you can always ask your doubts to the faculty member. We have a team which will take care of those doubts. Can you suggest some certification courses? Ritika, that actually depends on your long-term career goals यार. तो generic नहीं होते. Generic में तो I can talk about courses like MS Office का course कर लो, data analytics का कोई course कर लो, communication skills का course कर लो, those kind of things. Okay. Or I see quite a few of you who are sharing your background, academic background and all. We have a tool available on our website. You can go and input all this information in that tool, and that tool will tell you what all colleges, at what percentile to target. PhD plus MBA, bhai, you would have to justify it a lot in the interview, but if you can justify it, you can. So see, a lot of people get into an MBA because they want to change their profile or their industry. So if you've done a doctorate, but then you feel that your profile hasn't changed much, and you need to change your profile, or you want to change your industry, then MBA will help you for sure. Yes. I won state and national level award for my research paper. Will it help you? Absolutely, it will help you. Phrases and idioms, do they play an important role? Ayushi, yes. From communication perspective, especially if you want to speak like a native user, yes, they bring in some flavor, some color, so you should experiment with those. Drop year after 12th, अब वो तो हो गया ना उत्कर्ष, उसको ignore कर यार. Currently handling my father's business, is that work experience? See, after graduation, full-time paid. If it satisfies these 3 things, you can definitely write it as work experience. Newspapers में words होते हैं, tough होते हैं, कैसे समझे? Dictionary से भाई. Dictionary के बाद भी समझ नहीं आया तो Facebook group में डाल दिया कर. Somebody will help you there. Okay, currently own event company with friends. Yeah, definitely, Karuna, you can definitely mention it. Okay. What should I do now? Because IIMs require, no, IIMs do not require job experience. You do get some extra marks for job work experience, but it is not a necessity. Can I get 99 plus by self-preparation in the CAT exam? Atharv, just write 1 or 2 previous year CAT papers and see what your comfort level is. If you think that you are comfortable with the fundamentals, then yes, you can get 99 plus through your own preparation. But if you think you'd require significant input and help, then I think you're better off joining a coaching institute. In either case, please make sure that you do take up the test series so that you get adequate practice. Bina test series ke nahi jana hai. Okay. So reading whole newspaper necessary? Not at all. Reading an entire newspaper will be a sheer waste of your time. पढ़ना भी नहीं है सारा newspaper. ऐसा करते हो तो गलत करते हो. Utsav, if the predictor shows that the probability is not very high, then it just means that the probability is low. Every year, I can tell you, every year there are these 5 to 10% calls that come, and we don't know how and why. You won't believe it, I've seen people getting an IIM Ahmedabad call, general category, okay, at 96.7 percentile last to last year. I had no clue. I mean, general category में चाहे जो भी हो आप, female हो, non-engineer or whatever is called, but आया यार, मैंने देखा. So stay optimistic. There won't be any problem with a gap year. Sparsh, that's not an ideal situation for a premier college. So if possible, work. If that's not possible, to फिर think of the justification. Internships and NGOs are counted. Absolutely yes. All these things help you perform better during the interview, and so they indirectly increase your marks in the interviews. MBA after MCOM, you can do that, but they ask you to convince them, justify it, and then that should work. Oh, you getting a bad gateway error? मैं अभी यार टेक टीम को बता दूंगा, एक बार चेक कर लेंगे वो लोग. चरित, आपको डैशबोर्ड पे मिल जाएंगे यार वो सब चीज़ें. Working for my marketing agency, yes, it will help you enhance your CV. BSc B.Ed कर सकते हो, सेम थिंग वही है, बताना पड़ेगा बस. ड्रॉप ईयर 12वीं के बाद का भूल जाओ यार. देखो, कुछ चीज़ें पुराने पाप हैं जिनका कुछ कर नहीं सकते, उनकी अब चिंता मत करो, सिर्फ आगे का सोचो. ओके, तो चलिए, I think let's stop here. If you have any more questions, please don't hesitate in reaching out to me in our Facebook groups, wherever you are, and I would love to help you. So until I see you next, stay safe, stay focused, stay in touch, keep letting me know wherever you need help from me or anybody else in the team, and we'd go ahead and I noticed some of the questions that require a detailed answer, so we'll go ahead make a video on that and upload. So don't forget to subscribe to the channel as well. Okay, chaliye, all right then, take care, have a nice evening ahead, and I'll see you later.